start our program here, wanted to have just a moment of silence, if we would. As we all know, Berlin lost a patriarch of the community this week, Mr. Doyle Paul. He was laid to rest yesterday, and his shoes are going to be very, very difficult, if not impossible to fill. So if you would, please bow your head for a moment of silence. Thank you. I'd like to have Isaiah with Berlin Cub Scouts pack number 135 to come down and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Isaiah. Next, I'd like to ask Pastor Brian Kirchner with Three Seasons Community Church from Berlin to please lead us in the invocation, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Father, for this day that you've given us. Thank you for this project. Thank you that for all the people who helped make it possible. And thank you for all that are here. We ask your blessing on this time and on this project in Jesus' name. Amen.
Little information I'd like to share. Most may know this already, but those that don't, Berlin Borough has owned its own electric system since the early 1900s. We're one of 35 municipal electric systems located in the state of Pennsylvania, and there's a little over 2,000 of those like us throughout the country. With the generation project, we actually have enhanced our electric system. We have the capability of providing emergency backup power in the event that we lose transmission through Penelec. If you'll look over, you can see the power lines going up above the generator. That's the lines that supply the power from Penelec to the borough, and they go down through about 6 or 8 miles before they connect up to the next transfer station. Underneath, buried, is all of the lifeblood for the generators. There's conduit, there's cable, there's fiber optics. Probably, if you added them all end after end, we'd have over a mile of conduit, over a mile and a half of power supply cable, and approximately a mile of fiber optics that connect up to the borough. In addition to that, the generator is the latest and greatest of technology, computer technology, satellite technology that communicates with the PowerSecure monitoring in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and also with our wholesale power supply, American Municipal Power, AMP, in Columbus, Ohio. Between AMP and PowerSecure, we will have 24/7 monitoring done remotely, as well as the capability here in the borough, and they will start the generators in times of load management. No one knows that during the month of June, we ran the generators for about 14 hours. During those times, on Monday, June the 12th, they ran for approximately 4.5 hours to, as we call it and commonly referred to, is to catch the peak, to shave the peak. On Tuesday the 13th, they ran for about 3.5 hours, and both times we were able to minimize the amount of power that we were pulling from Penelec. Normally during those times, we would pull anywhere between 2 to 3.5 megawatts of power from Penelec. We were down to a measly 150 to 200 kilowatts. The generators were supplying the power the entire time to the borough with no problems, no glitches whatsoever. It was completely seamless. The very next week, we had a request from our power suppliers in the PJM, which is the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland market, where our power supply comes from various sources, including solar, hydro, nuclear, coal, gas, and they asked us to run the generators for an hour so that we could save money. As we do this in peaks of demand response, we can save approximately $85,000 if we're able to minimize our power supply from Penelec, which we effectively did. Later that same day, Penelec had to shut down the substation. They had some equipment failures, and it was going to take approximately 3 hours for them to do the repairs. We contacted PowerSecure. They remotely made the transfer from Penelec to the substation 100% of the time. No power supplied by Penelec without any glitches whatsoever. Job well done, PowerSecure. I'd like to introduce some folks here first. I'd like to start with the council members. I'm not sure if everyone is here, but if you are here, please stand up and wave your hand. First, President Brett Kuster, Electric Committee Chair Eric Gladfelty, Tom Fisher, Roger Clark, Barb Zerfoss, and these two I'm not sure, Charles Rhodes and John Harding. We owe a debt of gratitude to these council members for the hard work, the foresight to get behind this project and make it happen. It's going to keep our electric rates among the lowest in the state and maybe even in the nation through load management. It gives us the emergency backup power that we did not have this time even a couple of months ago. So thank you very much. One other one I did forget, Mayor Joe Kraus, I think, is in the audience. Oh, and by the way, my name, for those of you who don't know, I'm Tom Jones. I am the Borough Executive Secretary. And one of the other key staff members for the borough is Cindy Flem, the treasurer. Most of you know her because she collects the bills. And to the contractors, she sends your checks out. Also, this project would not have been possible without participation by local contractors. We initially, when the project was estimated with the cost of the generators themselves, which is what is behind us, the connecting radial feed lines going about 700 feet to the top of the hill to our substation was not part of that project, as well as the property that we're on, engineering services, fencing, a lot of other ancillary expenses that go along with a project such as this. The original estimates were about $2.7 million. By bidding and having some of the best around local contractors, we were able to come in at $2.5 million and a savings of $200,000. I like some of these people are here. I'd like for them to please stand as I call your name. First, most people know this gentleman. He's invaluable to the borough. We see him around. He keeps us going. Brian Wiedenhoff with Wiedenhoff Electric. Thank you, Brian. Mike Fogel with Fogel Construction. If you'd have seen this site before we got started, it was prior. I think the coal company used to use it. It was you could not envision the way it is today, with the crews going up and down the hill. It was amazing to watch these guys work. Other ones that participated in the project was Dar Construction, and also Fig Brothers Coal. Scott Fig with Fig Brothers Coal provided equipment and manpower for us to do the excavation. So thank you very much. You had the borough's interests at heart, and you made a significant contribution. And I've been told by the PowerSecure guys that they may come and get you and take you on other contracting jobs. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to have Eric Gladfelty from the Borough Council. Eric is the chairman of the Electric Committee, and he put countless hours doing research, working with contractors and engineers and other council members, and identifying first what was needed, and then getting the specs together, and then making this project happen. So, Eric?
I'd like to thank everybody for showing up today with, as Tom said, this beautiful weather. As Tom said, we've since 2014 we've put countless and countless hours into this project, and to stand here and see the completion of it and know its worth to the borough, it means a lot to me that we were able to accomplish such a big project, and know that the outcome is going to be well appreciated by all. During winter at the beginning of 2014, we experienced some very severe weather that everybody knows, that was called the polar vortex. The demand for electricity was heavy, and it was placed a tremendous strain on the nation's power grid. Electricity bills skyrocketed in part due to increased usage, and especially for overwhelming transmission and delivery costs. that the electric providers passed along to its customers. The borough monthly bill went from just over $100,000 to $200,000 in just 1 month's time. The council immediately knew that they had to take measures to control these unforeseen costs, or the residents' electric bills would become unbearable. Through much research and with assistance from AMP, engineering consultants, fellow municipal electric systems, and others, we realized we could reduce our electricity costs significantly through peak load shaving utilizing generators. 3 years later, we are now able to do just that. We invested $2.5 million in the generators and expect savings beginning in 2018 that will allow us to recoup this amount and more in less than 10 years. With the load management and cost savings, we will also be able to protect the residents' future rates as well. I would like to take this time to thank all council members, the borough staff, as Tom said, Cindy, Tammy, and I want to personally thank Tom and Chad and all the borough employees for putting up with us for the last 3 to 4 years with our demands and our wants and needs. Could everybody give Cindy, the employees, and Tom a hand for what they've done for our community? The electric system of Berlin is on the leading edge of all public power systems throughout the United States, and we will enable us to provide our residents, our customers, affordability, electricity well into the future. Thank you.
I'd like to also mention, Eric mentioned that the borough spent $2.5 million on this project. The forefathers to this council were very, very frugal. They managed the finances of the borough extremely well. As I mentioned, the electric system was established back in the early 1900s. And for those of you who don't know, municipal electric systems generally, we don't make profits. We have what we call pilot, payment in lieu of taxes. And with that, money that we buy the power, in turn sell it to our customers, the money that's left over is what allows us to run the borough. It allows us, you see the staff that plows the streets in the winter, that sweeps the streets in the summer, that comes out and takes care of water line breaks, that takes care of sewer line problems. If you'll look down the hill, not me, look at the equipment down the hill. Just in the last year, the Borough Council has replaced a significant amount of equipment. We have a new 350 pickup truck, a new 550 pickup truck, we have a new garbage truck, and we also have a new street sweeper. Those together amount to over $500,000 in expenditures. Also, if you'll see below that, there is a fire truck. The borough does not actually provide the services of the fire departments, volunteer. However, we do support them, we do make contributions to them, and they do a magnificent job, one of the best around. Also, we have the EMS, the Emergency Ambulance Service. They're on call, and they do an excellent job there too. There again, that is separate, but ties somewhat to the borough finances. And in addition to that, we also have our own police force. So we have all the services, you know, garbage. We have garbage services, water services, electric, and also sewer services. And that all makes this possible. So when you hear that the borough is making money, the borough is actually spending money. The residents, when they pay their electric bill, they're actually paying for these services. And it works out quite well. We are envied by so many boroughs across and municipalities across the state. And as a matter of fact, here in Somerset County, we, for 2 years in a row, have 0 millage property taxes assessed by the borough. There are 50, I think, commissioners, correct me, 50 townships and boroughs in the county. We are the only one that has 0 assessed property taxes by the borough. That's amazing. All because of the hard work and dedication that this council and prior ones have committed to this borough. Next, I'd like to ask the Somerset County Commissioners to come forward, Mr. James Yoder, Mr. Gerald Walker, and Mr. John Vadavuk.
Well, I would just like to say thank you on behalf of my 2 fellow commissioners here today. Gerald said just go ahead and talk, so it's never hard for me to talk. But one of the neat things I think was a comment Tom made about this area right here. I've actually been known to chase deer around over here. over here in this hill, and there's even one standing up there now, which I think's really neat, kind of taunting me. But I've been over here, and this was really unused ground for a lot of years, so I really think it's neat how they revamped that. Another thing, Cindy Flum isn't only known for collecting bills, but she makes good cupcakes too. The last time she was at the Borough Association meeting, I snuck too, so just had to put that out there. But yeah, I really think it's neat to be here today. I want to thank you guys for having us. I think this proves what a small community can do, what a good borough council that puts their heads together, worries about the future. I mean, because electric rates are really something we have to think about. It's something that comes up all the time. We read about it in a lot of publications we get, government publications and stuff. So it is something of the future. And I really think there's a lot of forethought with this board and borough council, mayor, the whole works, to put a plan like this together and implement such a project. And once again, it's Somerset County, a community in Somerset County coming together and being on the cutting edge. That's nothing new for Somerset County at all. We have a lot of smart people here. We are on the cutting edge. We're poised to grow, and I just think this is another project that we really needed. So thank you for inviting us today, and I don't know if John wants to say anything or not, but or Gerald, but here they are.
Thanks, James C. I'd just like to thank you for the invitation to be here this morning. We appreciate being here, and I'd like to echo the things that James T. said. You know, you take a piece of land like this that wasn't being used and is now being used for something as important as this. It's great for the community. And I take my hats off to the community of Berlin. I tried looking on the internet yesterday. I couldn't find how many municipalities in Pennsylvania had, but you said 35. And I know there are 2 in the county. I know Hooversville still has their own power company, but they don't make their power. And I think Berlin are the only 2 in the county. And you're real progressive here with the garbage collection, because I got to talk about the when we first started the recycling, Berlin wanted to make sure that we had a shed out here. So we've done a really good job here trying to keep up with things here in Berlin. So, and you guys have done a great job. And I hope you wish you continued success in the future, and hope that all your days will be happy.
Great thing about being last is I don't have to say much because everything gets said before me. But I'd like to congratulate everyone on all their hard work, and not only on this project, but all the projects that have come before this, and according to the paper yesterday, all the projects that will come after this. So once again, my hat's off to Berlin, one of the communities that's really forging ahead in Somerset County and making our job easier. So thank you for inviting us today, and have a good day.
Thank you, gentlemen. One thing I'd like to add to what they said about the land here. When they were going through the evaluation process and trying to find a place, once they decided that generation was the way to go, and diesel equipment and so forth, they tried to find somewhere that made sense. As I mentioned, our substation that's owned by Penelec is just at the top of the hill between the end of 5th and Vine Street. And there was some property up there that was looked at. There was a couple other places that were looked at. And as it turned out, they talked with Mr. Figg, and this ended up being the ideal place. There was concerns. It was the fear of the unknown somewhat with the generators. How much noise are they going to put out? How much pollution are they? That's going to destroy the neighborhood. There's even talked about emissions that we could smell around town as we take walks through town. Well, guess what? That wouldn't have happened up above, and you'll see that later, but it certainly won't happen here. So we bought this property, and we have approximately 5 acres. The council has talked about, along with this project and for the future, the possibility of adding solar power to our electric grid, of adding wind power, and certainly this site would provide room for that. There's also talked about, you know, a recycling park or other types of even waste into energy projects. There's limitless, and we have now, even though we're physically situated in Berlin Valley Township, we own this property, and we can certainly make great use of it in the future. So it was a great idea to place it here. Next, Senator Patrick Stefano was going to join us. He's the Pennsylvania senator from our District 32. However, my understanding is they were having some budget issues again, and they got called back into session for this weekend, so he sends his regrets. Next speaker I'd like to introduce is Mr. David Woglum. Dave is Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Municipal Electric Association, and he advocates very, very diligently for the municipal electric companies in the state and does a wonderful job. So David, if you'd like to come forward.
Thanks, Tom. Whenever I get a chance to speak at public functions, I'm always reminded of the 3 B's of public speaking. And that very simply is to be brief, be brilliant, and be seated. So with that as a background, let me say in my brief comments here, and I assure you they'll be brief, something now and then the same thing at the end. First of all, that's congratulations. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to Tom, to Borough Council, to PowerSecure, to everybody who's been involved in this. This is a decision, or this is the final product of months, if not years of discussion, difficult discussion. And to Borough Council, the ultimate people who had the vision, had the courage, quite frankly, had the guts to make this decision, to spend this money, and to provide this to Berlin. Congratulations to all of you. So let me talk to you just briefly about public power. As Tom said, there are 35 municipalities in Pennsylvania. There are 2,000 municipalities across all of the United States that are in the public power business. Most of them got involved in this business right around 1900, as Berlin did. And you talk about the vision of elected officials way, way back then that made the decision to get into the public power business. But I want to talk to you about how Berlin is very similar and how they're very different from other municipalities, both in Pennsylvania and across the United States. So Berlin, with its population of 2,100 people, believe it or not, is a very typical sized municipality in Pennsylvania that's in the public power business. While Chambersburg, with its population of 23,000, is the largest, we have the vast majority of our municipalities who have 2,000, 3,000 people, who are very similarly sized. In fact, across the United States, while there are some very large public power companies, the closest of which to us would be Cleveland, the vast majority of municipalities across the country are also very, very small, with populations of less than 10,000 people. The common thread amongst all those municipalities, including Berlin, is that their elected officials had the vision many, many years ago to get into the public power business. The number one thing that all public power companies promote, and the number one benefit that they provide to all of their residents, is they're all about customer service. They're all about providing a high quality public service to their residents. So Berlin is all of that and more. Berlin is what I would call a full service municipality. Through its authorities, they provide every service that they possibly could, including water, sewer, electricity. And it's all about providing a high quality public service. But in Berlin's case, and they are unusual in this aspect, they have no real estate tax. They're one of only probably 10 or 12 municipalities across the whole state that have no real estate tax to their residents. And despite that fact, their electric rates are amongst the lowest, if not the lowest, in all of Pennsylvania. Again, it's all about public service in Berlin. It's all about providing a high quality service to your residents and to your businesses. And so I'm here again at the end now just to congratulate all of you for having the vision. What you have behind you is a tremendous asset. And your average resident really has no knowledge of it. They don't need to have knowledge of it, because Berlin is here and their number one focus is customer service. And that's what you're doing with this. So again, to be able to, as Tom says, to control your cost of electricity, your wholesale cost of electricity, and as a benefit, which I hope you'll never need, that is to have power should you lose your wholesale power coming in. Now your residents will never be without power. So congratulations to all of you. I wish you the best. This is a great asset you have, and have a great day.
I'd like to also bring special recognition to someone here that was involved with the project for quite some time. He was instrumental in helping lay out where we're standing right now. He walked up and down the hills long before we did the excavation and planted the ryegrass up through there, through the thickets, through probably bees' nests and who knows what else. And that's Kevin Yoder from Appalachian Engineering. Kevin. Also, Kevin was very instrumental. As the story, we started. The council approved this project in April of last year and signed the contract. We had signed agreements with Penelec in July of 2016 with anticipation that this project would be done around December the 1st, certainly no later than December 31st. We ran into some issues. First off, we all know dealing with a investor-owned utility such as Penelec is. They're that 300-pound gorilla that you can't rattle that cage. We got to October, November, and Penelec had not performed their studies that we needed. We got AMP involved, PowerSecure, and turned up the heat somewhat. Finally, in January, we got some news that they were going to turn us loose. It actually did not happen until May. We had to install some additional equipment that Penelec wanted. Actually, it was not necessary. The engineers, the experts that are some of the best in the business with PowerSecure could not make any headway. The bottom line, it cost us approximately 6 months before we could energize the generators, and it cost PowerSecure about over $100,000. This was something that PowerSecure absorbed. They did not pass that along to the borough, so thank you very much, PowerSecure. Also, with Kevin Yoder's assistance, we were able to quash some alleged EPA and DEP violations, which we did not have. So Kevin, thank you very much for that. That also cost us time, energy, and money as we had this project, but nothing was going to defeat us in any way, shape, or form. Next, I'd like to have a gentleman I've come to know and have the utmost respect for. He has represented PowerSecure from day one in the borough. He's been in homes. He's been all over the community throughout the last probably 2 years, I would imagine, when he first got involved. And that is Robert Tugwell. He is the VP of Public Utilities for PowerSecure, Inc., located in Wake Forest, North Carolina. We all know him as Robbie.
Good morning, Berlin. How's everyone? Good. Mr. Jones, distinguished visitors, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to introduce some key players that were a big part of this. We have Michael Amberman to my right here. Michael was my sales partner, along with one of the engineers involved in the project and everything. He's been tracking the project from day one as myself, so thank you, Michael, for being able to join us. A gentleman who was not able to join us, a lot of you had met, Mr. Josh Burns. Josh was your lead project manager for this particular project. Josh, as I speak, is at the hospital now, waiting for the arrival of a first nephew on his side of the family. So, Josh, we wish you well, and the baby well as also. My first visit to Berlin was April of 2015. I received a call from a consultant engineer about a public community in Pennsylvania that was considering installing generators. He said this community wanted to use the generators to lower their peak and also to use it for emergency standby. After that meeting, I was so impressed with the homework that the Berlin officials had done, especially with the understanding on what it would take to lower the borough's electric costs and the motivation to fix it. Berlin was years ahead of other communities. In April 2016, PowerSecure and the Borough of Berlin entered into a contract to provide a finished product that you see behind me today. The citizens of Berlin should be proud of the forethought of the Berlin Council in making the generator project a reality. This is one of the first in the country, let me repeat that, one of the first in the country that is completely backed up by an ultra clean burning diesel generator. And I'll repeat that again, the first in the country. We know of no other installs where an entire community can be backed up 100% with ultra clean burning diesel generators. The citizens of Berlin should be proud of the forethought of the Berlin Council in making this generator project a reality. Berlin is proud to have been PowerSecure is proud to have been part of the Berlin Generation Project. From Michael and myself and the over 500 PowerSecure generator employees, we thank you, Berlin, for allowing us this opportunity to serve you. This is a long-term partnership, and we do look forward to the many years of working together with you. In closing, I've met some wonderful folks in my 2 years of working this project, and I've also discovered a love for one of your very own Snyder potato chips. Every time I check in at the Hampton Inn, being at the level I'm at, they allow me to choose a snack, and Snyder's always number one. My wife has enjoyed me bringing back the Snyder potato chips as well. Tom and I did a tour of the facility back the spring of this year, and they provided us Snyder potato chips, and it's just an awesome, awesome snack there. I'm only disappointed they're not located, or they're not available in North Carolina at this point in time, but I'm working on that. So thank you, Snyder. Again, it's been a pleasure working with you guys. I've built some very long-term relationships. This gentleman right here, he has been awesome to work with. He was the man I, at the time, needed to finish this project up and everything. And Tom, delightful to call you a good friend, and wish you well all in the future and everything. Thank you very much.
I was just verifying with Robbie. He's attended a few of our council meetings and one before, just to give you an appreciation of the PowerSecure. They're not new to this business. They do all of their design work, all of their engineering, all of the fabrication, everything at their various facilities located in North Carolina. Everything you see here, Mr. Goffeld and I had the opportunity to travel down to PowerSecure and got the grand tour of the facility, and it was truly amazing. And council members, you did quite well in choosing this firm. And also, Robbie said this is a long-term partnership. We have signed agreements with PowerSecure that we have a bumper-to-bumper warranty on the generator here for 10 years. That means that if anything happens with it whatsoever, PowerSecure will take care of that. All that we have to do for the next 10 years is supply fuel and DEF fluid. All of the maintenance, the routine maintenance, monitoring is all being done by PowerSecure. That's excellent for the borough. Also, I think Robbie made the statement. I'd asked him at one prior council meeting how many facilities such as this do they have, and they have smaller, they have larger, they have them throughout the United States. They have the equivalent of over 800, or they're generating enough power to run over 800 communities just like Berlin. Probably closer to 900 with additional projects that they've added since then. So that's pretty amazing. So we've got a great partner to move forward with. Next, I'd like to bring Brett Kuster. He is the Berlin Borough Council President. Again, he was very instrumental in working with the other council members to identify, as Eric had mentioned, the problems and what we could do, or the situation we were with escalating power costs. Back in 2005, the borough's invoices for power that we buy from AMP, our wholesale provider, we had about 3% of that bill was transmission cost. Lately, they're in excess of 30 to 35% in transmission costs. With this generator, we can get that cost back down to, say, 5%. So we will be able to save that kind of money. So they identified a situation. They had the wherewithal to do it, and have chosen some extremely good partners to make this happen. So let's welcome and give a round of applause to Mr. Kuster, please.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on this momentous occasion. And I'd like to personally thank all the council members, all the contractors, PowerSecure. A job well done. It's been a long road, but we made it, and it was exciting. It was hard, but we were successful in the end. Everything that you heard today from all these speakers are things that are exactly right on, point on. Council addressed an issue. We dealt with it, and I commend again council for the hard work that they put into this project. The Borough of Berlin 2016 Integrated Distribution Generation Project has at last reached its completion. We have come full circle in a process whereby the circle was started by our forefathers in 1903 when they purchased the Berlin Electric Plant. In fact, history reminds us that Berlin had its own electric generation plant from 1894 through 1918. It was located somewhere along Valley Road. The purchase price for that then was a staggering amount of $8,800. The council back then financed this by selling bonds in the amount of $15,000, which included cash for repairing and equipping the electric system. If you go back through the borough archives, you'll find that bringing electricity to the borough again was not without opposition, as there were folks who were perfectly happy with candles. But the wise men of the day prevailed, just as this current borough council has. This is a tremendous undertaking by the borough. We are adapting to a new energy environment so that our borough can survive and prosper on its road to energy manageability and affordability. Additionally, we've upgraded the safety and reliability of our distribution network by adding transfer switches to each of the 3 circuits, and a long overdue maintenance is being completed. Let me close by thanking all the good people who have took time from their busy schedules to attend today. I would also like to thank the town elders, whose prudence and frugality provided the financial stability that allows us to invest in the future as we are on our road to energy stability and independence. Let's hope that God will provide us the wisdom to follow in their footsteps. We're now going to go to the commissioning of the generators by remote startup by PowerSecure monitoring operations in Wake Forest, North Carolina. When the time comes, they will send a signal via computer and satellite technology to energize the generators in Berlin. This will automatically initiate the process and the generators will start. They'll proceed through protocol of a diagnostic and then begin to generate electricity and deliver the electricity to the borough power grid in parallel with Penelec transmission. After a few minutes, the generators will begin a deactivation by transferring the load back to Penelec. They will be entering a cool down mode and then shut down. During this time, we invite you to help yourself to some refreshments, enter in the fenced area for a closer look inside the generators. We and the folks from PowerSecure will be happy to answer any questions you will have at that time. At that point, after we do the commissioning, this will conclude the ceremony. Again, I would like to thank you very much for your attendance and Godspeed to all of you. At this time, I'm going to ask Robbie Tugwell, the county commissioners, Mayor Joseph Kraus, and the council members to come down here. We will do the countdown, and at that point, we will start the generators. When everybody's present down here, simply what's going to happen is Robbie and I is going to be on the phone with PowerSecure in North Carolina. We are going to call them, and we're going to just briefly ask them if they're ready. When we come to the point of the countdown, we're going to have the council, commissioners, and everybody do a simple countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At that point, we will then say, PowerSecure, please start the generators. And at that point, they will energize the lines. All righty. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Everybody understand we're going to do a countdown together when we get to that point, and then we will tell PowerSecure to start the generators. Okay, Robbie.
Very good. 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Start the generators.
Start the generators.
Takes approximately 5 to 10 seconds. We are right now carrying the load of Berlin.